So picking up right where we left off on naming acids, naming bases is even easier than naming acids, but you still do need to crisscross. The difference here is when you write your formula, since hydroxide is a polyatomic ion, when you crisscross someone else's oxidation number, if you need a subscript on hydroxide, you need to use parentheses. So for all bases, you're going to first start by naming the element, followed by the name of hydroxide. That is your OH. So hydroxide comes second in the name because it's listed second because it's the anion. So if we practice by naming these bases, it should be really straightforward. So we have named bases before, we just didn't call them bases. We've named hydroxides before. So this first one, I would call it what? Calcium hydroxide. Second one is going to be potassium hydroxide. So notice that this one, the calcium hydroxide, you needed to put parentheses around the hydroxide because calcium has a +2 charge. So what this came from was calcium with a +2 charge and hydroxide with a -1 charge. So the 1 would technically crisscross down here, but we don't write the subscript of 1, and the 2 would crisscross down here. But to show that you need 2 hydroxides and not just 2 hydrogens, you need to put OH into parentheses. So this would be called calcium hydroxide. The next one is potassium hydroxide. All right, third one, what would we call this one? Okay, aluminum hydroxide. Why is there a 3 here? Because aluminum has a +3 charge. I know that because on my periodic table, aluminum is in group 13 that has a +3 charge. So as a reminder, if you're struggling with the charges, this group has +1. Oops, we've been doing this for so long, I forget to review it with you, but I think that you know them. 3. This group will skip it, kind of +or -4. Then it's going to be -3, -2, -1. What about these guys? They need Roman numerals. So these, for the most part, there are a couple exceptions, for the most part have variable charges, and also tin and lead have variable charges. So any of those need Roman numerals. Do you remember our exceptions?
Silver, cadmium.
Silver, which is here. I'm going to do this in a different color so they're different. This is also a good review for your final. So silver and cadmium and zinc. They don't need Roman numerals because their charges are set. Yeah.
You have an extra periodic table?
Not printed, but I can print you one by next class period. I did upload it to Canvas if you want to pull it up on Canvas. I made a whole new module and uploaded a periodic table for you. All right, so with all that being said, if I were to name FeOH2, what would I name this?
Iron 2 hydroxide.
Good. Iron 2, I have to put that here in the name because otherwise I wouldn't know what charge it has. I got the charge of iron from this that had to have been crisscrossed down. If I just called it iron hydroxide with no Roman numeral 2, I wouldn't be able to write that formula from it. Yes?
Does the Roman numeral have to be in parentheses?
It doesn't. I used to not usually put it with parentheses. I'm super lenient on that. Officially, I think that the rule is that it should be in parentheses, but as long as I can tell that you are like just designating it as a Roman numeral, I don't really care if it's parentheses or not. All right, so this one says write the formula for the following bases. If I have titanium 1 hydroxide, my element is obviously titanium, which is here. Based on the periodic table, I can't tell its charge, but based on the name that it's given, what charge does it have? 1. So I would take my titanium with a +1 charge. Hydroxide always has a -1 charge. So when I crisscross those, it just becomes TiOH. I don't use parentheses here since I don't need an additional subscript. What about magnesium hydroxide? Magnesium has what charge? Hydroxide has what charge? So then when I crisscross them, the 1 would come down, but again, we don't write the subscript 1s. And the 2 would come down here. But if I just wrote MgOH2, that does not tell me I need 2 hydroxides. That tells me I need 2 hydrogens. So I have to put it in parentheses. So it's not going to be that. It's going to be Mg in parentheses OH, and then the 2 on the outside of the parentheses. That says I need 2 hydroxides to balance out with this magnesium. And then sodium hydroxide. Sodium has what charge? +1, and hydroxide is -1. So when I crisscross it, it is NaOH. Do I need parentheses?
No.
No. Perfect.
Oh,